Hello there. What is going on, everyone? We're going to talk about Star Wars Legion today. We're talking about some of the most wanted Separatists to counterbalance the Gungans. I say counterbalance the Gungans, all in this wishful approach that I hope Gungans are coming. It's the 25th anniversary of Phantom Menace. It's a good year to introduce Gungans. I think it would generate a lot of hype. At least to soft confirm that they're coming. I know there's been a lot of whispers and discussions. I know Will Schick and I talked a little bit about Gungans and a couple of other things. So it definitely seems like it's something that's absolutely in the realm of possibility and probably something that's being worked on. Whether or not it will actually be announced at Ministravaganza, we will see. But assuming that that Gungans do get announced, that could mean a major new army for the Republic, and I feel like the Separatists might be a little bit farther behind in the power curve. Now, they do have some units coming out right now. There's definitely a couple of things in the pipe. There's new droids, there's the crabs, there's definitely new Separatist stuff coming. But I don't know if that will be enough to compete with Gungans, especially considering that if a Gungan army were announced, they would need quite a bit. You couldn't just do Jar Jar Binks. You'd have to have Gungan troopers. You'd have to have maybe riders. You'd have to have possibly dinosaurs, Boss Nask, Captain Tarpals, of course, Jar Jar Binks also. There'd be a lot of different things that really go into making that a complete battle force. And, of course, they would only be aligned with the Republic because we really only see Gungans ever fighting with the Republic. We don't see them fighting with anybody else. So it just seems to make sense that Separatists would need something. There certainly is also a Geonosian battle force that's supposed to happen, but it hasn't happened, and it was supposed to happen probably much sooner than now. But Ministravaganza is a good time to unveil battle forces because we do know that Will Schick said in addition to new content being spoiled there, or at least new expansions being spoiled, there will be a lot of other stuff that's not specifically new expansion related. Whether or not that deals with new ways to play, new additions, or new battle forces, or all of the above, we'll see. But with this video, we want to talk about some of the most wanted things for the Separatists that I think would be really cool to show up, to be announced for the game, and to help offset all the hype that Gungans might create. Now, I know a lot of you guys aren't really big on Gungans, and regardless of how you feel about Gungans, hopefully there's something in this video that you're going to like. If you guys are new here to the channel, we are starting a new round of the giveaway for the $25 Amazon gift card. You just have to be a subscriber and leave a comment on this or one of my videos. It's as simple as that, and you'll enter to win. This will run for about 2 weeks, and then we'll announce the winner at the end of a video. So stay tuned for that. Plus, check Discord and all the other links that we have down in the video description below, as well as Patreon if you're so inclined. And we'll go ahead and jump into this list. So the first thing I want to talk about, a commander for the Separatists that's not a mechanical commander, and that's going to be Nute Gunray. Of course, well, he is not mechanical himself, but he certainly fits in to the droid theme. It certainly fits into the Battle of Naboo. Because, again, if you're going to have Gungans, wouldn't you like to recreate the Battle of Naboo? They did a droid invasion battle force a while back, but they had to put General Grievous in there because there isn't a Nute Gunray yet. So he would fit perfectly into an existing battle force and would really help round out the entire delivery of Gungans if you also had Nute Gunray, and you could have some droidicas, and you could really recreate the Phantom Menace. I think it's a great opportunity to put Nute Gunray in the game. I think it'd be awesome. And I'd love to see him show up. Now, I imagine he could have some great, some Droidica cards. He could be a way, you know, I think there's a lot of people that sometimes say that Droidicas are sort of underperform in the game, especially for as popular and as cool looking of a mini as they are. And he could definitely have like something that increases Droidicas. I could see him having maybe like a retinue or not retinue, but basically allow him to bring extra droidicas, to give a bonus to droidicas, activate a free droidica, have command cards that influence droidicas, all kinds of cool stuff like that. I think that would be really cool. Moving on, somebody else that once fought against the Gungans in the Mon Calamari arc of the Clone Wars is Riff Tamson. I think Riff Tamson is just an absolute no-brainer for this game. Super cool dude. Very, very separatist, very, very fearsome, like straight up like bite your head off kind of guy. It's a really cool way to make somebody who is a melee option also without having it to be another lightsaber wielder. I wouldn't be surprised if he has some kind of bite your head off type of mechanic, and it would be potentially so powerful, but it might have to start with like, okay, a command card, it's maybe a 3-pip, and you have to play it when you're already engaged with somebody, and then by the time you activate, if you're still engaged with them, then you get to like just do like 3 or 4 damage like to that unit or something like that. Like just straight up damage, like I'm gonna bite Luke Skywalker. Now it might not be enough to bite Luke Skywalker's head off, but it might be enough to bite his hand off. So I don't know, something crazy like that. But I could see him having a very, very fierce and strong melee attack with Pierce and of course movement abilities because of his swimming nature. Although it's hard to really transfer an aquatic being to a land game, and you can't always exactly do you can't always exactly do an underwater battle of Star Wars League. You can do stuff with like swamps and you can do like, I've even seen there's like a Kickstarter going right now for Camino type of terrain and stuff like that, but you can't base his whole persona about him being in water. You have to have him out of the water, but you could probably give him some movement abilities and things like that. So I think it could definitely work. Although I don't know if you would have since they don't actually have like watery terrain as a specific terrain type. I don't think you could reference that exactly. But if they are doing some new changes to Legion, that might be something that they put in, is like identifying specific terrain types, and maybe there will be a terrain type for like puddles or pools or rivers or lakes or water specific terrain. If so, then he could really fit into that. And wouldn't that be a cool, interesting thing that might complicate Legion a little bit more, but could also make it really rewarding if you had specific rules for water? I don't know. I think it would open some doors for different things, especially, and also Gungans are good swimmers too, so it could be a thing. Could be a thing. All right, moving on. Not necessarily affiliated with Gungans, but I mean maybe one of my most wanted separatists, Pong Krell. Now people have different ideas about Pong Krell. People have different ideas, thinking that he should be Republic and have some kind of traitor mechanic. Of course, he should definitely have a traitor mechanic, but I think the cleanest way to do him, using the rules that we've already got, is to make him a Separatist, but give him the incognito. I wouldn't make him a commander. Although you could package him with 2 different cards. You could potentially run him as a commander for the Republic and give him like a flaw card that's just like really bad, because honestly most of the flaw cards that we've seen haven't been too bad. But you can give him like a completely terrible flaw card, and so he becomes like a really, really powerful commander, but like he play this flaw card on like turn 4, and he just like, the other person just like takes control of him. He's now theirs. Like, that could be like so strong that it becomes like really negative. So I'd rather him just be an expensive operative for the Separatists that has incognito, so the other side just thinks that he's on their side until it's too late, until he loses incognito. I think that's a cleaner way to do it, although it might not be as much fun, because it would be more thematic, of course, if you're going against Republic. But what if you're going against another Separatist? Or what if you're going against Empire or something like that? So it's like, it could be a little trickier, but I think as far as rules is written, I think that's the cleanest way to do it. But when you try to tack on theme, a flaw card might work better, but it runs the risk of like not really capturing the moment or being too strong, because he kind of has to be pretty darn strong, because he's got like really thick lightsabers and he's got 4 blades there. And gosh, I mean, we keep making jokes with Separatists about how many sabers can we fit, how many blades can we fit in a list, because Grievous has 4 and Maul had 2. Asajj has 2. There's, I think, a 9-saber list you can run right now. If we put him in there, depending on what he costs, how high could you make the saber count for a Separatist list? It would be really, really cool. So yeah, Pong Krell, definitely one of the most intimidating bad guys I think we've ever seen, and so I'd love to see him. I'd love to see his miniature too. It'd be awesome. It could be really awesome. All right, moving on. Speaking of super awesome bad guys, Savage Opress, of course, needs to show up. I think I think Savage Opress is definitely a given. He's already in Shatterpoint. A lot of people are like, all right, how come we don't have him in Legion yet? Come on, let's get it going. Let's absolutely get it going. And, I mean, look, he was Count Dooku's assassin, makes for a perfect operative. Plus, you already have a Darth Maul in there for the Separatists, so you could run them potentially together. There's so many really interesting things that you could do with these two. But the weird thing is, if you're running them together, at the point that they kind of became together, they kind of weren't Separatist anymore. So I wonder if you'd have to have like some kind of disclaimer, like if you're going to run him Separatist, then he can't be on the same list as Maul. All right? Maybe. And that would allow you to make him a little bit more powerful as a Separatist, but I think you'd have to include another card for him to work in the, to work with Maul in the Shadow Collective. And again, this gives you a great opportunity to bring in Shadow Collective stuff to add more to existing battle forces, which, again, when a character can pull double duty like that, like you can run this guy as a Separatist or also as Shadow Collective, now you've got a lot more value for a single design. You got a lot more value for a character. It's very cool stuff. Wouldn't even have to have that many command cards. I mean, you could have the operative command cards. You could sometimes you go a little bit lighter with command cards for operatives. Like they've been changing up the formula. It's not just a straight 3 for everybody anymore. So that's kind of cool. And what would Savage Opress be without his home planet? Let's also take this opportunity to say, yes, of course we need Mother Talzin. We need Night Sisters. We need a Dathomir battle force. And this could potentially be one that is not affiliated with any faction. This could be something kind of like Shadow Collective that is its own battle force that is maybe not a Separatist battle force. And it's tough because there was a time when Mother Talzin and the Night Sisters were friendly with Count Dooku. Of course, it goes into the creation of Savage Opress. They were friendly for a time until Count Dooku's just like, you know what, let's just go massacre your entire race. So I think that I think that's justified to just say when we see them fighting as an army, it is for their survival and it is against the Separatists. So, and they certainly aren't allied with anybody else. So I would say a major initiative would be to push for the Night Sisters as their own battle force once we have the other things to go in it. Now we already have Asajj Ventress and we already have Maul, which, of course, I think Maul absolutely deserves a place in this battle force. And, of course, if we're following my chronological timeline, we will probably already have Savage Opress by this time. And then between the Night Sisters, the Archers, and the Blade, Night Sisters, Zombies, and Night Brothers that are more commonly seen. I mean, you saw them in the Clone Wars a little bit, but you see them a lot more like aggressively in the Jedi Fallen Order games. And we are seeing some Legion stuff that has a little bit of crossover to video games too. With the Riot Troopers that are going to be coming out soon too. I think there's a wealth of Dathomir, an absolute wealth. And if they want to go ahead into the future and do stuff that we're seeing in movies and TV now, it looks like with Thrawn's storyline in live action, we're going to see an enhanced focus on Dathomir. If anybody of you have watched Ahsoka, you've seen some definite, really cool things that can work with Mother Talzin, Night Sisters, and a Dathomir. And I call it a Dathomir battle force because it wouldn't just be Night Sisters, right? I don't think it has to just be Night Sisters. You can put, again, if you're going to put Savage Opress and Darth Maul, and if you're going to put, Night Brothers in there too, then maybe just call it a Dathomir battle force, or Defenders of Dathomir or something like that, and leave Night Sisters be the unit types, and maybe that's even a term. Maybe there'd be Night Sister Trooper, and so Mother Talzin might have cards that empower Night Sisters but don't work as well on Night Brothers. I feel like there's so much you could do here to make it a really well fleshed out battle force and an army of its own. And there's so much more coming with whenever they keep going for Ahsoka and that Thrawn storyline. I'm really, really excited. But could be very powerful. Speaking of powerful, let's talk about the last entry on this list. Something I'm surprised we haven't seen yet, but maybe not too surprised because he might be too powerful. The Senate, the Chancellor, and of course Darth Sidious, aka Palpatine. This is a tricky one. It's a tricky one to find the balance to be able to do a character like this. You know, X-Wing took a stab at this by making him kind of a flip card where he starts off on one side and then becomes the other one. It's just so interesting to me that to have somebody so powerful. Like Palpatine's already very, very powerful. Are you going to have 2 points for maybe like a Republic version of the, you know, Palpatine who really doesn't do a whole lot? Or are you going to make it a flip card? Or are you going to make them kind of play the game and have them kind of pretend, you know, or maybe you just do Darth Sidious. You know, granted, we don't see him fight a whole lot in the movies except until the very end of Episode 3, but we also do see him fight at least at one time in the movies, and we also do see him fight in the Clone Wars. And I feel like he's very, very strong when we see him fight in the Clone Wars, and I think that does certainly justify his inclusion in this game, but because of that level of strength, and I think because of how early in Star Wars Legion's lifespan Emperor Palpatine came out for the Empire, like I expected him to be a very late release because his power level's huge, and he was in like the third wave. He was very early in the game's lifespan. I thought, I'm like, wait, you're spending you're spending everything quick, and usually games have power creep over time. Does that mean that, you know, future units are going to be more powerful than the Emperor? And so far they've actually managed to make, you know, it's been pretty good. Like Emperor is still super crazy expensive and super crazy powerful, and we don't see him eclipsed by other units, although other units are potentially more attractive to metagame because of point costs and the way that they interact with other things. But as far as just power, you know, the Senate has unlimited power, so it's pretty cool. So, but again, it's a very delicate balance, and it's a dangerous a bargain to strike, you know. So I can understand if this one, while I'd love to see it, it might take a long time to get just right. Who knows? Maybe it's been in playtesting for years, and they just can't figure out the balance to do him justice without making him too strong. It's not an easy task, and I'm glad I don't have to come up with it, because the amount of pressure there and the consequences for getting it wrong could be quite significant. But those are some different Separatist lists, our ideas, inclusions, commanders, and other units that I think are on my most wanted list. I want to hear from you guys. Let me know what you want to see for the Separatists, hopefully announced at Ministravaganza. And or possibly even as late as next year's Adepticon. You know, they're going to keep announcing new stuff. There's so much new stuff coming for Star Wars Legion. It's got a very, very long roadmap, and it's going to be here for a very long time. So we may see all of this stuff show up, and I can't wait for it. I am absolutely here for it. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Big thanks to my patrons. Thank you guys so much for continuing to support the channel. I will talk to you soon. May the Force be with you. Live long and prosper. Be excellent to each other. Party on, dudes, and always wash your socks.